Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod Science classes. Today in this lecture we are going to discuss current affairs of 8th February 2021. In this lecture we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first article. Title says 7 killed after glacial burst in Uttarakhand. So this article mainly talking about calamity that happened in Uttarakhand. So in this context, we need to focus and we need to understand what is this glacial burst. So this topic is important regarding GS paper 1 under geography. And we need not go and see details like how many people died and how many people they are missing. That is not important. First, we need to understand concepts regarding geography. And we need to understand why, what happened and what might be reason regarding this disaster. Okay. And now let us try to discuss this glacial outburst. Okay. So this is very important topic. So context says that 7 persons were killed and over 125 reported missing after this glacial burst on Nanda Devi. So this Nanda Devi, it is glacier mainly located in Uttarakhand. So what happened in this Nanda Devi glacier, there was one glacial lake. So this glacial lake outburst that happened. So this, what might be reason? Reason here is avalanche. This avalanche led to flash floods mainly in rivers like Rishi Ganga river and Dauli Ganga river. So those are mainly seen in Chamoli district of Uttarakhand. So this is context. And now let us try to understand what is this glacial burst. So glacial lake outburst flood. So this event, whenever that led to glacial lake burst and glacial lake burst that led to flood, then that event is called as glacial lake outburst flood. So what is meaning of this glacial lake outburst flood? So it means a sudden release of significant amount of water retained in glacial lake. So this mainly characterized by 3 important things. The first one is extreme peak discharge of water from that lake, and next one is maximum discharges that will leads to some impact on hydroelectrologically induced floods. So what happened here, whenever because of release of this maximum peak discharges from that glacial lake, then what happened, it will leads to floods. And next one is that will also leads to exceptional erosion or transport of any debris. So these are some important characteristics of this glacial lake outburst flood. So if you are talking about this glacial lake outburst floods, there are 3 important features. First one is there will be sudden release of water from that glacial lake and it will tend to rapid events, okay, that will last from hours to days. And next one is there is large downstream river discharges. Okay, so what might be reasons for this glacial break? The first one is whenever there is increased water pressure. So if there is any glacial lake is present, what happen if there are glaciers here? So what happen, as we know, there is climate change is happening. So because of this climate change, we are seeing there is increase in global temperature, global warming. So because of this, the glaciers which are present here and snow, ice that will started melting, right? So if at all any lake here we have, so what happened, increase of melting that will leads to increase in water level here. So because of increase in water level in this lake, that will leads to increase in pressure. So because of this increase in pressure, that will also leads to outbreak of this lake. And next one is because of any earthquake or any kairoseism, that will also leads to increase in outbreak of these glaciers. And next one is whenever there is any avalanche of rock or any heavy snow avalanche, that will also leads to glacier break. And next one is volcanic eruptions under ice in these glaciers, that will also leads to glacier break. So because of all these reasons, that will leads to glacier break, right? So because of this, that leads to massive displacement of water when large portion of an adjacent glacier that collapse here. So whenever there is any glacier present, whenever it is collapsing, then what happen? The water present in this lake that will come downward. So because of this, it is one of important reason for increasing flash floods. So this is important reason behind this flash flood in Uttarakhand now. Okay. And now let us see next article. It is also based on this event itself. So title says glacier collapse brings back memory of 2013 flash flood. So in 2013 also there was even that happened in this Uttarakhand itself, that is flash flood. So this flash flood led to major disaster in that Uttarakhand. So we are going to linking with this glacier collapse now with this 2013 glacier collapse. So now let us try to understand this article in great detail. So I tried to draw a map regarding some basics of this river Ganga. Okay, so that will be important for prelims. So whenever any river which is in news, you have to open your atlas and you have to see where this river originated and among which states this will flow. Okay, and some important places regarding that river. So this will be important from geography point of view. So in this way you can expect some map based questions in your prelims. So we are also going to focus on this also in this lecture. So this article mainly talking about glacier collapse. So what is background here? In Nanda Devi Glacier, a largest glacial lake that is present in the state of Uttarakhand. So in state of Uttarakhand, there is largest glacial lake is present. So in this glacial lake, there are a number of rivers originating. So first one is, we can say Dhauli Ganga. Okay, so this Dhauli Ganga river mainly originated from Vasundhara Tal here. So this Dhauli Ganga mainly important because it is merges with Alkananda. So this Alkananda river, it is one of important tributary of river Ganga. So because of this, we need to focus on this Dhauli Ganga, Alkananda and river Ganga now. So if you're talking about this area it is famous for Nanda Devi National Park and also white water rafting, and this river tunnel mainly turned into deadly after this avalanche event. So this is the background which is discussed in this article. Now if you see what happened here in Uttarakhand we have number of rivers which are flowing, right? So some of rivers are tributaries of river Ganga. And if you are talking about this river Ganga and tributaries which are mainly flowing in Uttarakhand, they mainly flows to many tourist places. So those tourist places mainly include Rishikesh, Haridwar, Rudraprayag, Karnaprayag, etc. So because of this flash floods mainly in Dhauli Ganga river and Rishi Ganga river, what happened? It impacted Alkananda, and as well as at the place of this Rishi Ganga which is joining this Dhauli Ganga, that is Raini. So near this area disaster had took, that is avalanche that had took in this place. Now let us talk about Uttarakhand flash floods of 2013 and let us move back to flashback. So in 2013 also Uttarakhand faced this flash floods. So at that time reason was because of torrential rains. So because of torrential rains that occurred in that year, banks of Chorabali Lake in Kedarnath that collapsed. So because of cloud burst, that is torrential rainfall, that is increased rainfall, that led to burst of this Chorabali Lake which is mainly located in Kedarnath. So because of this, that led to major flash flood event. So that led to finally heavy losses to infrastructure, agriculture, crops, humans and as well as animal lives. So this is about event that took place in 2013 in Uttarakhand. And now let us try to understand map first. So I try to draw this rough map here. So if you want, you can open your atlas and you can mark out which are the important places I am telling now. Okay. First one is river Ganga. So river Ganga name that originated from place that is Gangotri. So from Gangotri this river Ganga originated. So this is river Ganga here. Okay. So this is river Ganga. And this river Ganga which is mainly formed by joining of two rivers. First one is river Bhagirathi, second one is Alkananda. So this river Bhagirathi and Alkananda, they are joining to form river Ganga here. Okay. So place where this Bhagirathi and Alkananda, they are joining. So this meeting point is called as Devaprayag. And if you are talking about this Alkananda river, which is in turn formed by joining of two rivers. Okay. First river here is, we can say, Vishnu Ganga, and the second one is Dhauli Ganga. Vishnu Ganga and Dhauli Ganga, they are joining together to form this Alkananda. So this joining point of this Vishnu Ganga and this Dhauli Ganga, this joining point is called as Vishnu Prayag. And here other rivers also joining this Alkananda before joining this Bhagirathi. So they include Pindar Ganga. Okay, Pindar Ganga is joining. So this meeting point, it is called as Karnaprayag. And next another river here is Mandakini. Here Mandakini will come and join this river Alkananda. So this meeting point is called as Rudraprayag. So you have to remember that first we have this Vishnuprayag, next Karnaprayag, next Rudraprayag, next one is Devprayag. So you have to remember these prayags for compulsory. They are very important for prelims. And most of students, they are confused with this. So Vishnuprayag mainly formed whenever this Vishnu Ganga and Dhauli Ganga are joining. So Vishnu Ganga and Dhauli Ganga, they are joining to form Alkananda. So this meeting point is called as Vishnuprayag. And next one is Pindar Ganga joining with Alkananda at Karnaprayag. And Mandakini joining Alkananda at Rudraprayag. Bhagirathi and Alkananda, they are joining to form river Ganga. So this meeting point is called Devprayag. So these are important things that you should remember regarding this article. Okay, I hope it is clear now. Now let us see next article. It is also regarding that only. Okay. So title says experts point to climate change impact. So this article mainly focusing on what are reasons behind this burst of this glacier lake. So many experts are pointing out climate change impact that is seen on this type of events. So because of climate change, we are seeing this type of natural disasters that are occurring. So this article is important regarding environment in ecology point of view, which comes under GS paper 3. Now let us try to discuss about context and as well as some important details which are highlighted in this article. So this article mainly focusing on climate change impact. So context here is because of glacial burst, floods that are seen in Rishiganga river and as well as Dhauli Ganga river in Uttarakhand, they washed away about at least 2 hydroelectric power projects. First one is Rishiganga hydroelectric power project and next one is Tapovan project, which is mainly located on this Dhauli Ganga river. So because of increase in water or flood like situations in these two rivers, that affected these 2 hydroelectric power projects. So now let us see details which are highlighted in this article. Our environmental experts mainly says that in this Nanda Devi glacier, they are melting at rapid pace because of increase in global warming and as well as because of increasing climate change. So because of increasing climate change, that is led to increased global temperature, that is global warming. So because of global warming, we are seeing the melting of this Nanda Devi glacier that is seen. So in this context, this article mainly said one important term, that is glacial retreat. So whenever we are talking about glaciers, we need to talk about 2 important terms. First one is glacier advance. Second one is glacier retreat. So what is meaning of glacier advance? So in simple terms, I will try to explain this glacier advance. So for example, if we have glacier this area, but because of some conditions, what happened, there is increase in size of glacier to this much. That means whenever we are seeing increase in size of these glaciers or expansion of these glaciers, that is called as glacier advance. So exactly opposite to this, it is glacier retreat. Glacier retreat means decrease in size of glaciers. So what might be reasons for decrease in size of glaciers? First one is because of increase in temperatures. What happened? The glaciers, that is ice, snow, that started melted. So because of melting, that will form some lakes or some rivers. So what happened? Because of this, size of these glaciers will be decreasing. So this is called as glacier retreat. For example, if we have glacier of this size, after some decades, we are saying it is turning into small size. So this type of turning or decrease in this size of this glaciers, that is called as glacier retreat. So this article mainly focuses that because of increase in climate change, global warming, etc., that led to glacial retreat and also permafrost thaw. What is permafrost thaw? If you are opening your NCERT class 11th, so you see this permafrost thaw, especially when you are talking about formations of some landforms because of these glaciers, then you can see thaw. So what happened whenever there is increase in cold or increase in for example, let us take there is increase in temperature. So because of increase in temperature, what happened? Ice melts into water. So whenever there is decrease in temperature, then water converts into ice. So whenever ice is converting water, that is called as thaw. Okay, so this conversion of water into ice into water, that is called as permafrost thaw here. Okay, so because of global warming, what happened, there is increased events of this permafrost thaw. So because of this, that led to decrease in stability of mountain slope. That means, for example, if you take mountain is present and this mountain which is covering with ice, so what happened in summer season, that led to increase in temperature. So because of this increase in temperature, what happened, upper layer of ice that will started melting, right? So if at all upper layer started melting into water, what happened, this layer which is not covered with water, but this layer is not covered with ice, but we have some water that is present on that surface. For example, if there is winter season that came, so suddenly what happened, whenever there is temperature decreasing, what happened, there will be snowfall. Whenever we are seeing this snowfall that is happening and that is piling up on this layer of water, then what happened, it will be very slippery. So it will becomes a decrease in stability of this mountain slope. So because of decreasing stability here, this whatever ice that piled up on this layer of water, that will comes down as avalanche, right? So this is important thing. So because of increase in temperature or climate change, that is making this mountain slopes unstable, and because of this, that led to large area and large number of glacial lakes that form into existence. So how these forms lakes here? So whenever there is increase in temperature, what happened, there will be decreasing of glaciers that is seen. So earlier what happened here, earlier in that area we see glaciers are present, but now because of temperature, increase in temperature, this glaciers will be turned into ice. This ice which is present in this area, that will turn into water, right? So because of this, they may form some depressions like things. So because of depressions here formed, whatever water which is present in that area, they will come and they will store in that depression, and in this way that led to formation of glacial lakes. So because of climate change and increasing of global warming, we are seeing glacial retreat is happening, and that led to emergence of these glacial lakes. So day by day, because of climate change that is happening on, there is increasing of this glacial lakes is happening. Number of glacial lakes are increasing. So if at all we have some glacial lakes, their area which is increasing here. So number and area of glacial lakes are increasing according to report which came up by United Nations Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change. So these are some important details here. And next one is number and area of these glacial lakes that will continue to increase in this region. So because of this, there may be this type of events that may occur in our near future also. So if you see the data, it mainly says that because of climate change, erratic weather patterns are coming into picture, such that led to increase in snowfall and rainfall and warmer winters. So because of this warmer winters, melting of lot of snow is happening. So if you see thermal profiles of this ice, earlier temperature of ice that is ranged from -6 degrees to -20 degrees. Now it is just -2 degrees only. So because of here temperature is increasing. So because of this, these ice which are more susceptible to melting, and that is leading to increase in number of glacial lakes and also increase in area of these glacial lakes. And now I want to say one simple concept here. So if you are talking about this Himalayas, that is Hindu Kush mountains, so these are mainly, they are very height, right? So height of these mountains is mainly ranges some kilometers, right? So because of this, what happened, as we know, when we are moving towards upside, that is for every kilometer there will be decrease in temperature, that is according to normal lapse rate. So this normal lapse rate means whenever we are moving away from our atmosphere, that is from Earth's surface we are moving upwards. So when we are moving upwards, there will be decrease in temperature that is seen. So this is according to normal lapse rate. So because these mountains are very high, so because of this the temperature is very low. So we can see these mountains are covered mainly by ice, snow, etc. So what happened in this area? In this area we are seeing there is increase in temperature, that is because of global warming. We are seeing glacial retreat, right? So because of this glacial retreat, what happening here? Here decrease in size of glaciers are happening. So because of this decrease in size of these glaciers, earlier in those depressions, the water which had formed from melting of that ice, that is coming and that is filling in these lakes here. So if you are talking about these depressions here, correct? So these depressions are mainly protected by moraines. Okay, so these moraines are depositional landforms mainly mainly formed by glaciers here. So whenever there is increase in water level, what happened that if water level in this lake, if we have this water level which is present in certain level, so whenever they are present in certain level, this can be protected by these moraines. But what happened whenever there is increase in level of water in this lakes, what happened because of increased conversion of ice into water, because of increase in global temperature, then what happened, there will be internal pressure that will be created in this lake, and this pressure mainly against this moraine. So because of this moraines will be removed, so that will lead to glacial outburst. So whenever there is a glacial outburst that is seen, that will lead to flash floods. So this is a thing that happened in Uttarakhand now. So in this context, we need to also refer about one important concept. So why there is increased melting of these glaciers? The first important reason here is global warming, as we all know. And second concept here is because of tar balls. So what is this tar balls? If you are seeing industries which are mainly present in Indo-Gangetic region, they are releasing some air pollutants. For example, they are mainly releasing two types of carbon, that is brown carbon and black carbon. So whenever these brown carbon and black carbon are released in this Himalayas area, then they will go and they will settle on these mountains, right? So what happened earlier, ice is used to present here, but what happened now, black carbon is presenting as a layer on this. So as we know, these black objects, they will receive huge amount of heat. So they will mainly trap extra amounts of the sunlight. So because of this, it will cause some heating like thing that on that ice, that will lead to increase in melting of these glaciers. Okay. So because of this is first reason. And next one is, if you're talking about even in Mediterranean region, there are many industries are present. So whenever these industries are releasing any pollutants into atmosphere, that will be carried towards this Himalayas by our jet streams. So because of these two events, there is increased melting of this glaciers that is seen. So because of this, we cannot read environment as a India alone. So if at all anything that happened in other countries, that will impact also shown on India. Okay, so this is one example here. Because of this, we need to interconnect every countries whenever we are talking about environment. So because of this, we are having some intergovernmental panels are present, and as well as we have some organizations mainly dealing with environment as a whole. Okay. So these are some important things that you should remember regarding this article. I hope it is clear now. And now let us see next article. Title says the cost of internet shutdowns. So this article mainly focusing on internet shutdowns. Again, this article will be important regarding GS2 under governance. Okay, and also important under polity. I will try my level best to make you understand this topic. So central theme of this article mainly says that governments must find a way other than digital curbs to balance civil liberties and security. So this article mainly focusing on, rather than we should go for this internet shutdowns, we need to go for balancing of civil liberties and as well as security. So what is the background of this article? If you see, last year we came up with one important article, Article 370 and Article 35A. So we stuck down those articles, right? So because of that, what happened? So there are large amount of violence that resulted in Jammu and Kashmir. So because of this, government mainly took some steps, right? Like shutdown of internet, shutdown of telephone facilities here. Not only in Jammu and Kashmir, and recent protests that are going on in Delhi regarding this farmer protest. So in that area also, Ministry of Home Affairs also suspended this internet services around this many border areas of this national capital region. So why government is taking these steps like shutting down of internet? So because of this internet, there may be large circulation of information, misinformation, disinformation that can be happen. That will further increase violence here. So because of this, to maintain peace and security and to maintain law and order in country, here government will take certain steps like internet banning or internet shutdown in certain areas. So this is background of this article. So if you see concerns regarding this internet shutdown, so if you're talking about Indian laws, they have some vague provisions regarding this internet shutdown. Suspending of telecom services here, suspending of internet, mainly during public emergencies here. Mainly government is taking this step to protect public interest only. So if you're talking about some concerns, even Supreme Court in 2020 declared that right to access to internet, it is fundamental right of people, because without this internet there is no freedom of trade. Because earlier we have some physical platforms, now we are mainly moving towards digital platforms. We are ordering our food in Swiggy and as well as Zomato, and as well as we are ordering our early day life things in our different online websites, and as well as online platforms like like we can say Flipkart, Amazon, etc., right? So because of this, without access to this internet, we cannot go for freedom of trade, freedom of business. Because of the Supreme Court declared in January 2020 that it is right to access to this internet, it is fundamental right which comes under Article 19 of our Indian Constitution. And if you're talking about cost of this internet shutdown, whenever we are going for blanket ban on this digital connectivity, that will also leads to deep rooted societal difficulties as well. Why? If you're talking about society, we have rich people, and as well as we have poor people and most vulnerable people. And in this, whenever we are going for shutting down of this internet, most vulnerable people, they may cut off health, wealth, alerts. It could also breaks vital digital services. But how rich can sustain? So rich people, they can use Wi-Fi services, that is broadband. So these broadband are mainly done by private agencies. Whenever internet shutdown that is done by government, it will be mainly through mobile phones. So if we have poor people, they may be using mobile phones mainly to have access to internet. So whenever there is shutdown of internet, what happen? It will affect health and welfare assets, welfare alerts, and also it could break some vital digital services for this poor. So rich they can have Wi-Fi services and they can have access to this internet, right? So most vulnerable people will be affected. And next one is, if you are talking about well-being of patients, so even doctors, they need to go for attending of these cases mainly through net, correct? So in this COVID-19 period, we are mainly going for internet connections, and as well as in telemedicine, we are going for online learning platforms, online training platforms, and even elderly and pregnant women, they are going for visits through online only. So because of this, whenever we are going for internet shutdown, this will make vulnerable people more vulnerable regarding this health access, education access, etc. And if you're talking about employment here, almost all white collar employment sectors like information technology, finance, and consultancy services, they are encouraging their employees to work from home. So whenever we are going for internet shutdown, that cause large scale of disruptions in our economic output. And recent estimates mainly says that because of shutdown of internet in 2020, that cost over 20,000 crore in that single year. And what is way forward? What can be done? First one is, internet ban should be a last resort. Government should enforce well formulated protocols mainly to control this spreading of misinformation and disinformation. And government can use some emergency response and relief systems for vulnerable whenever it is going for this internet shutdown. And next one is, government need to upgrade cyber divisions and as well as law enforcement agency mainly to prevent spreading of misinformation and disinformation. And next one is, technologies including mass surveillance system and as well as communication interceptors that can be used by government. So one important thing that we need to focus here is, in this globalization era, every country is interconnected with another country, and in this digitalization and connectivity, that will mainly accelerate whenever we are providing proper internet services. So in this context, we need to balance civil liberties and as well as security concerns by the government here. So mainly to come up with solution regarding this, government have to create modern and as well as independent institutions that will lead to formation of this framework policies that will meet these challenges regarding this internet shutdown. So this is just of this article. I hope it is clear. Now let us see next article. Title says staying watchful. So central theme here is, the RBI cannot afford to drop its guard on vigilance over prices with interest rates go so slow. So this article mainly focusing on monetary policy of RBI, and it is mainly talking about interest rate, that is repo rate. So I will try my level best to make you this article very clear. So this article mainly talking about RBI's monetary policy. Okay. So recently RBI monetary policy said that it left benchmark, that is interest rate, unchanged, and it will continue with this accommodative stance. So we already discussed what is this accommodative stance in our Hindu analysis and also in our economic survey highlights many times, right? So if you are talking about what is this accommodative stance means simply we can say expansionary policy. So it is coming up with expansionary policy. So what is important aim of this expansionary policy? Mainly to increase liquidity in market, or to improve money supply in market. So mainly to increase money supply in market or to increase liquidity in market, RBI mainly move towards this expansionary monetary policy. So whenever RBI want to move towards this expansionary monetary policy, it will keep its rates low, that is repo rate especially. So why this step taken by government or RBI? So RBI mainly took this step because to secure economic recovery, mainly to maintain market certainty here. So for example, I will give you one thing. So if there is any RBI coming up with any monetary policy here, for example, it says that we are keeping this repo rates less for 5 days or 10 days, and later on after 10 days again RBI will come and RBI will say that repo rate is increasing, okay, we are increasing repo rate, and after 10 days it is coming and we will say repo rate is decreasing. So whenever this type of changes which is taken by RBI, whether we can see growth in market? No, right? So because of these changes without any prolonged strategy, then that will lead to market uncertainty. So mainly RBI wants to maintain market certainty. So whenever we are making certainty and we are coming with long-term policies, then only we can see outcome or result that will be fruitful. Whenever we are making this type of changes in this monetary policy for every 10 days or every 1 month or every 15 days, what happens? That will lead to market uncertainty, and that will lead to finally negative outcomes on our economy. So because of this, RBI mainly wanted to continue with this expansionary policy to increase money supply in market. Now let us try to understand what is this repo rate. So repo rate means whenever banks are borrowing money from central bank, so on that money banks will pay interest rate. So that interest rate, it is repo rate, and this repo rate, it is for short term. Okay. So if you see, this article mainly says that there is sharp deceleration in retail inflation. So because of imposition of lockdown and as well as some uncertainties in vegetable prices, then we saw there is inflation that increased. Okay, that increased more than target of 6%. And now CPI inflation that is recorded 4.6%. So we see this easing of this inflation rate at present. So if you're talking about RBI have important function to maintain this inflation, and inflation target is 2 to 6%, that is 4 plus or minus 2%. RBI need to maintain inflation rate that is 4 plus or minus 2%. So if it are inflation which is increasing more than 6, it have to take some steps mainly to decrease inflation in market. Okay, so this article mainly says that we have decreased inflation, and inflation of the CPI is eased to 4.6. Earlier we have more than 6%. So this clearly appears that we have to smoothen the brow of 6 members of this committee, and we need to provide some space to stay focused near term on priority growth. So this article mainly saying that now we are seeing inflation that is decreased. So when we want to maintain inflation within targets, some of the steps are taken by government. So that steps are taken by RBI. So because of that steps, now inflation which is decreased to 4.6%. Now we need to focus on growth. Okay, and this article also says that because of vaccine rollout regarding this COVID-19 vaccine, so now we can boost our infrastructure and we can boost our innovation and research, and that have been recognized as a factors that likely to restore confidence in our economy. So this article mainly says that we need to focus on this repo rate, and we need to decrease or we need to maintain this repo rate until our good outcomes that will come into picture. And as of now, we need to focus on other fields like increase or boost for this infrastructure projects, innovation, research, etc. So this is gist of this article. I hope it is clear now. Now let us see next article. Title says an India-European Union trade pact may still remain elusive. So this article mainly focusing on India-European Union trade pact. and this article mainly focused on what are problems that are facing by this European Union in itself. Okay, so this article will be important regarding international relations and also economy, which comes under GS paper 3 and GS paper 2. Okay, now let us try to discuss this article in great detail. So this article mainly talking about India-European Union Trade Pact. So if you're talking about background here, earlier European Union is a single entity. So whenever India want to make any trade, it will go and it will sign some agreements with European Union and it will continue trade. But recently after this Brexit, now India need to make separate trade deals with Britain and separate trade deals with European Union. So because of this, not only this but also because of Britain which came out of this European Union, now many other countries under this European Union, they are also showing Euroscepticism. Okay, so this is one of problem that is facing by European Union. So if you are talking in context of India, India is largest democracy and India is union of linguistically and as well as culturally and ethnically diverse states. And in same way, if you are talking about European Union, so it is also formed of many countries, so they are diversically different and linguistically different, correct? So because of this, both in European Union and India, they well suited for this special relationship regarding trade between these two. And if you're talking about Brexit, so Brexit that led to increased international tensions. They are mainly caused by former president of US, that is Donald Trump. So because of some relationship between European Union and USA, that led to some unsettled trade agreements between European and USA, and that also reflected on European Union and Indian trade regarding mainly that affected free trade agreements between European Union and India. So if you are talking about 2020 crisis here, so in European Union there is lack of unity between members of that European Union. And also there is emergence of poles of power, right? We have China on one side, we have Russia, Turkey and Iran. So because of powers of poles that are formed in this 2020, so many countries they are moving towards other countries and they are mainly making bilateral agreements with other countries like China, Russia, Turkey and Iran here. So if you are talking about examples, Hungary and Poland, they are mainly showing some objections. So finally, they agreed about long-term budget and COVID-19 recovery package of $2 trillion here in this European Union. So if you're talking about this European Union, not only Britain, that led to populist movement, but also other countries, they are also coming up with agitations to leave European Union. So they are mainly seeing Eurosceptic parties that formed within European Union. They are mainly focusing on preventing closer unity between these members of European Union. For example, Netherlands and Germany, they are coming up with some Eurosceptic parties here. They want to come out of this European Union. And they are mainly showcasing problems regarding Eurozone and as well as migration crisis. And if you see, Trump administration also forced Europe to reassess its relationship with America. So because of these events that happened between USA and Europe, that led to greater self-reliance in security, economy, supply chains and climate change in European Union. So in this context, European Union is also attempting to be as a major global pillar along with USA and as well as China here. So these are some important things that you should remember regarding this European Union and European Union trade with India. And now let us see next article. Title says infrastructure push now, fiscal consolidation later. So this article mainly focusing on infrastructure push. So this article mainly related to recent budget. Okay. So this article will be again important regarding GS3 under economy. And this article will be important regarding especially mains point of view. Now let us try to discuss this article in a great detail. So if you are talking about fiscal year 2020 to 2021, it is an extraordinary year. India had faced an acute economic crisis, and this economic crisis mainly caused by non-economic factor but not economic factor. It is mainly caused by non-economic factor, that is COVID-19 pandemic. So because of this COVID-19 pandemic, we are coming up with fiscal stimulus package, correct? So we came up with food subsidy, mainly provided, we also provided free food grains for people, correct? and as well as expenditure of last quarter that increased, mainly government expenditure that increased for clearing of unpaid dues, mainly for different stakeholders, like we can say private sectors, autonomous bodies, government aided institutions. Whenever these salaries are cleared by government, then what happened, there will be increase in demand in government. So whenever people have money in their hands, they will go to markets and they will place some demands for goods and services here, such that it will also help for revival of our economic activities. So whenever economic activities are increasing, then tax revenues of government will also be increased. In now recent budget, government mainly estimated that tax revenues will be increased to 15.4%. So that means it should focus on increasing of economic activities also. And also government said that there will be non-tax revenue also increased, mainly from disinvestments and as well as higher dividends from non-departmental undertakings and as well as spectrum sales, etc. So if you're talking about this year budget mainly focused on asset monetization. So what is this asset monetization? If this asset monetization mainly talks about how to generate income from already assets which we have. For example, we have highways, Power Grid Corporation India Limited, civil aviation. So in this way, we have many assets. So by using these assets, how can we generate income? So because of this, in this budget, our government mainly launched. They are going to launch this national monetization pipeline also. And in this budget, they also focused on infrastructure and increased capital outlay here. Mainly, they also talked about this national infrastructure pipeline project. And if you are talking about infrastructure, our government also going to set up this development finance institution, that is DFI. So this act as mainly catalyst for facilitating infrastructure investment. And if you're talking about these infrastructure projects, they are long-term projects. So whenever they are getting some loans from banks, so banks also have some issue regarding this NPS. Mainly to resolve those NPS, government also came up with bad banks. For example, asset reconstruction companies and as well as asset management companies. And in this context, we need to talk about this 15th Financial Commission recommendations. If time permits, I will also come up with what are these 15th Finance Commission recommendations. That will be important for GS paper 2 and as well as GS paper 3. So I will try my level best to come up with this video, separate video regarding this 15th Finance Commission recommendations also. So if you're talking about 15th Finance Commission recommendations, it mainly said that center should give some funds to states. So earlier it is 42%, now it is decreased to 41%, because here Jammu and Kashmir it is bifurcated, right? So because of this, this is 41% now. And next one is this 15th Finance Commission also recommended for revenue deficit grants, local body grants, disaster related grants here. So these are recommendations accepted by government also. Other recommendations regarding this 15th Finance Commission are, first one is because of COVID-19, what happened? There is sharp surge of fiscal deficit. So because of this, now government mainly, this Finance Commission also recommended for revision of this fiscal consolidation roadmap for center and as well as states. And next one is it also recommended for setting up of high power intergovernment group. Mainly this high power intergovernment group that will examine the fiscal responsibility legislature for states and as well as center. So you have to remember this 15th Finance Commission recommendations also. That will be very important when you are writing mains and also essay. So this is gist of this article. I hope it is clear. Now let us see mains question. So what impact topographical changes in Himalaya region will have on water resources in India? So you have to write this answer. We have discussed about this topic very clearly. So please try to write answer, and answer should not be more than 150 words. So finally, I want to make an announcement. So we came up with this current affairs package course. So in this course, we are exclusively focusing on current affairs and also mains answer writing practice. So regarding this current affairs, this will be very important for clearing UPSC, because 50 to 60% of questions that will come from this current affairs. If you see, either it may be prelims or either it may be mains or even in interview, questions that comes from current affairs. So if you are getting any static questions, they have basics from this current affairs. So because of this mastering of this current affairs, it is important for clearing UPSC. And if you are writing answer writing practice, so this answer writing skills are very important. So when you started preparation on day 1 onwards, you need to focus on this answer writing skills. So without proper answer writing skills, you cannot clear UPSC for sure. So if you are enrolled in this current affairs package course, we are also providing prelims practice questions on weekly, and as well as we are providing video solutions. So if you are enrolling this course, you will be mastering current affairs, you will be focusing on how to improve your answer writing skills, and also you will be practicing prelims questions. So this is the exact demand of UPSC. So please try to join this course as early as possible, and please don't take this course as a choice, and please try to join this course for sure and try to achieve your aim of clearing UPSC. So for further details of this course, please contact us. Details are given in description box. By this, we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. Thank you so much.